Hi, 7th graders, Miss Opp here. Today we'll be learning about writing equations. Don't forget, for better understanding, you can always rewatch this video. You can read the examples in the book. You could YouTube the topic and watch other videos on it. And as always, you can ask questions. Our target for today is I can write algebraic equations from verbal sentences and problem situations. So some new vocabulary we have is equation and define a variable. So an equation is a mathematical sentence containing two expressions separated by an equal sign. An important skill in algebra is modeling situations using equations, or in other words, writing an equation. So, how the process goes is first we start with the words. We're going to describe the situation. We're going to find the most important words. Next, we will define the variable by assigning a variable to represent the unknown equality. Next, we will then translate our verbal model into an equation. 3 steps to writing an equation. So let's look at one example. So Eduardo had a score of negative 150 points in the first round of his game. His final score after 2 rounds was 75 points. Write an equation to find his second round score. So our most important words are negative 150 points in the first round, and his final score was 75 points, and we want to find his second round score. So those are our important words. So now we have to define our variable. So I'm going to put S for second round score, and that is the unknown. So S equals our second round score. So now we are going to move. We have our important words and we have our variable, so let's move into writing the equation. So I'm going to read it again. Eduardo had a score of 150 points in the negative 150 points in the first round of the game. I'm just going to write that down. Negative 150. His final score after the 2 rounds was 75 points. Write an equation to find his second round score. So his first round score plus his second round score, which we don't know, so I'm going to use S, equaled 75. So his first round score plus his second round score, which we don't know, so we put the variable S, equaled 75. So here that's written out just in typed versus my handwritten. First round score plus second round score was the final score. S represented the second round score, so it gave us negative 150 plus S equals 75, the same as I had on the last sheet. Let's look at another one. The winning time of 27 seconds, I have a feeling that's going to be important, was 2 seconds shorter than Tina's. So the winning time of 27 seconds. So the winning time was 27 seconds. Winning, I'm just going to write down my important facts first. Winning was 27 seconds. And that was 2 seconds shorter than Tina's. So we don't know what Tina's is. But we do know that Tina's was 2 seconds more than the winning time, or the winning time was 2 seconds shorter than Tina's. So let's show that in an equation. So I know the winning time was 27. I don't know Tina's, but Tina's winning time was 2 seconds more than the winning time, or the winning time was 2 seconds shorter than Tina's. So I'm going to go Tina's minus 2, because whatever Tina's time was 2 seconds shorter, so I know I'm going to be subtracting 2 seconds to equal 27. So the winning time of 27 seconds was 2 seconds shorter than Tina's, can be shown as 27 equals T minus 2. A drop of 4 degrees Fahrenheit per hour for the last several hours resulted in a total temperature change of negative 24 degrees Fahrenheit. So what are my important words? So the total temperature change was negative 24 degrees Fahrenheit. And each hour, it dropped 4 degrees. So if it's dropping, we know that's a negative number. Oh. So each hour, it was negative 4 degrees Fahrenheit. It dropped 4 degrees. And being that it dropped, that's why I put that negative sign in front of the number. So what am I looking for? So a drop of 4 degrees Fahrenheit per hour for the last several hours. So we don't know how many hours. So H is going to equal number of hours. Resulted in a total temperature change of negative 24 degrees Fahrenheit. So let's look. So I'm trying to find how many hours it took for it to drop 24 degrees if it dropped 4 degrees every hour. So I'm looking so my total temp change was negative 24, and each hour it dropped 4 degrees. So in order to find how many hours it took, it's a multiplication problem. So negative 24, each hour it dropped 4 degrees. So I'm going to show that by 4H. Let me just do an example to make sure that makes sense. I'll put it in a box over here. So if 1 hour passed, it'd be negative 24 equals, oh, no. So let's look. If 1 hour had passed, I would go negative 4 times 1 to show that it dropped negative 4 degrees in that 1 hour. If 3 hours passed, I would go negative 4 times 3 hours, so negative 12 degrees it would have dropped. So that's why I put the negative 4 multiplied by the number of hours. So let's look at a real-world example. For the average consumer, a hybrid SUV would cost $1,473 less per year in gas to drive than a regular SUV. Use the information on the left, so right over here, to write an equation that could be used to find the yearly gas cost for a regular SUV. So let's look at it in words. So the gas cost for a hybrid SUV is $1,473 less than the gas cost for a regular SUV. Then looking over here on the side, like the question told us, it says hybrid cars operate on a combination of gasoline and electricity. The electricity is generated by the brakes of a car and stored in a battery. The estimated cost for a hybrid SUV is $1,386 per year, or the estimated gas costs. So we are going to have our variable. We're going to let G represent the gas cost for a regular SUV. And we're going to fill in our words here. We have the gas cost of a hybrid SUV, which we know from the problem is $1,386. So we have 1,386 equals G minus 1,473, because the gas cost for a regular SUV is our unknown, which we don't know. But from up here in our problem, we know that a hybrid SUV is $1,473 less than a regular SUV. So we're taking our unknown, the amount, the gas cost for a regular SUV, minus the difference between a hybrid and a regular SUV. So our equation would be 1,386 equals G minus 1,473. The change in attendance from last year's spring dance was negative 45 students. So last year's dance had 45 more students than this year's. The attendance this year was 128 students. Write an equation that would best find, or could be used to find the attendance last year. So we have this year's attendance was 128. We don't know what last year's was. But we know the difference between it, between the 2 years, was negative 45 students. So let's define our variable. So I'm going to make last year's, because last year's attendance is what we don't know. So I'm going to make that just be a capital A. So let's look. So this year's attendance was 128. We don't know last year's, but that's what we're looking for. So I'm going to use our variable A. And the difference between last year's and this year's was negative 45. So I could either show that as doing an addition plus negative 45 students, or I could write it as 128 equals our unknown A minus 45. These are both the same problems, just different way of writing them. It's because we have this year's attendance of 128 minus our unknown last year's attendance, and we know that last year's had 45 more than this year's, or that this year had 45 less than last year. So 128 equals A minus 45. Okay, let's look at this one. The number of pounds of insects a bat can eat is 2.5 times its own body weight. Given B, a bat's body weight in pounds, which equation can be used to find P, the pounds of insects it can eat? So I'm going to highlight the important information in yellow, and then we will define our variable. So the number of pounds an insect, or of pounds a bat can eat is 2.5 times its own body weight. That seems important. Given B, a bat's body weight in pounds, which equation can be used to find P, the pounds of insects it can eat? So in this one, we have two variables. I'm going to highlight those in blue. We have B, a bat's body weight in pounds, and P, the pounds of insects it can eat. So first, let's look, what are we looking for? So given B, a bat's body weight in pounds, which equation can be used to find P, the pounds of insects it can eat? So I know that on the left side of my equation is going to be P on its own, because that is what we're looking for. So looking at the rest of it, the number of pounds of insects a bat can eat is 2.5 times its body weight. So I'm going to write that down, 2.5. Given B, a bat's body weight in pounds, so I know that the variable B is used to find as the bat's body weight. Because, let's read it again. The number of pounds of insects a bat can eat is 2.5 times its own body weight. So 2.5 times, that's multiplication, its own body weight. So our equation is P equals 2.5B. Which one, A, B, C, or D, matches with what the equation we wrote? Good. D, because remember, a single dot can be used to show multiplication. Okay, we got another one here. A state's number of electoral votes is 2 more, that seems important, let me highlight it, 2 more than its number of representatives. Given R, that's a variable, I'm going to highlight it, a state's number of representatives, which equation can be used to find E, another variable, the state's number of electoral votes? So I highlighted all the important information as we read it. Let's go back and let's look at what our two variables are defined as. We have R, the state's number of representatives, and we have E, the state's number of electoral votes. So let's reread it to find what we are looking to solve for. A state's number of electoral votes is 2 more than its number of representatives. Given R, a state's number of representatives, which equation can be used to find, so we know what's following is going to be what we are looking for, E, the state's number of electoral votes. So I'm going to put E, because we know that is what we're looking for. And let's look back. What tells us what E is? A state's number of electoral votes is 2 more than its number of representatives. So 2 more tells me we're going to be working with addition. So I'm going to have an addition problem. So I have 2 more than its number of representatives. And R is the state's number of representatives. So I'm going to go put R on right here. So we have electoral votes equals the state's number of representatives plus 2. Because there are 2 more electoral votes than the number of representatives. So we have E equals R plus 2. Which one, F, G, H, or J, shows what we found to be our equation? Good. H. E equals R plus 2. If you need more practice, I'm going to go through a couple more screens. You can pause, and you can practice writing the equations for those problems as well. So if you need more practice, pause on these slides. Don't forget, for better understanding, you can rewatch the video. You can do the extra problems at those slides at the end. You could work on those. You can read the examples in the book. You can YouTube the topic and watch other videos. And of course, ask questions. Your next step is to go take the video quiz on Schoology. You can find the instructions on how to find it right here. We are on 1-7 video quiz. Happy quizzing!